Howdy, y'all. Swan, Marion, the bookworm cowboy here. Back again to read from. Back to read The Serpent's Shadow by Rick Riordan of the Kane Chronicles. I really gotta renew this book at the local library. Be sure to support your local library wherever you are. We need more book readers anyway. Chapter 12. Bulls with frickin' laser beams. Being liquidated is not fun. I'll never be able to walk by another liquidation sale without getting seasick and feeling like my bones are turning into tapioca. I know I'm going to sound like a public service announcement here, but for all you kids at home, and so if somebody offers you happy pills, just say no. I felt myself sweeping inland through the mud, traveling at incredible speed. When I hit the hot sand, I evaporated, rising above the ground as a cloud of moisture, pushed west by the winds into the desert. I couldn't exactly see, but I could feel the movement and the heat. My molecules agitated as the sun dispersed me. Suddenly the temperature dropped again. I sensed cool stone around me. A cave or an underground room, maybe. I coalesced into moisture. It splashed to the floor as a puddle, then rose and solidified into Carter Kane once more. For my next trick, I buckled to my knees and lost my breakfast. Zia stood near me, hugging her stomach. We seemed to be in the entry tunnel of the tomb. Below us, stone steps led into the darkness. A few feet above, the sunlight blazed. That was horrible, Zia gasped. I could only nod. Now I understood the science lesson my dad once taught me in homeschooling. Matter has three forms: solid, liquid, and gas. In the last few minutes, I've been all three, and I didn't like it. Seeing Sitman materialized just outside the doorway, smiling down at us. Say, did I come through again, or what? I didn't remember listening his bonds, but his arms were now free. That would have worried me more if I hadn't felt so sick. Zia and I were still wet and muddy from our swim in the Nile. The Sitney looked immaculate. Jeans and t-shirt freshly pressed, Elvis hair perfect, not even a spot on his white running shoes. That disgusted me so much I staggered into the sunlight and threw up on him. Ugh. Unfortunately, my stomach was mostly empty and he was a ghost, so nothing much happened. Hey, pal. Sitting there adjusting his golden arm necklace and straightening his jacket. Some respect, right? Alright, I did you a favor. A favor? I gulped back the horrible taste in my mouth. Don't ever! Never happy again. He had finished for me. Never. Come on. Sidney spread his hands. That was a smooth trip. Look, even your ship made it. I squinted. Mostly we were surrounded by flat, rocky desert, like the surface of Mars. But beached on a nearby sand dune was a slightly broken riverboat, the Egyptian Queen. Stern wasn't on fire anymore, but the ship looked like it had taken more damage in transit. The section of railing was broken. One of the smokestacks was leaning dangerously. For some reason, a huge smiley top of fish scales was hanging off the pilot's house like a snagged parachute. Zia muttered, "Oh, gods of Egypt, please don't tell me that be Happy's loincloth." bloodstained blade stood at the bow, facing our direction. He had no expression, being an axe head, but from the way his arms were crossed, I could tell he was not a happy camper. "Can you fix the ship?" I called to him. "Yes, my lord," he hummed. "Given a few hours. Sadly, he seemed to be stuck in the middle of the desert." "We'll worry about that later," I said. "Get the ship repaired. Wait for us here for us to return. You receive more instructions at that time." "As you say." The thing plane turned and started humming at the glowing orbs in a language I couldn't understand. The crew stirred into a flurry of activity. Sydney smiled. "See? Everything's good. Except we're running out of time." I looked at the sun. Figured it was 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And we still had a lot to do before doomsday tomorrow morning. Where does that tone go? What's a serpent? And why did Happy say it was a trap? "So many questions," Sickness said. "Come on, you'll see. You're gonna love this place." I did not love this place. The steps down led to a wide hall chiseled from golden bedrock. The barrel ceiling was so low I could touch it without stretching my arms. So the archaeologists had been here, from the bare electric bulbs that cast shadows across the arches. Metal beams braced the walls, but the cracks in the ceiling didn't help me feel safe. I've never been comfortable in enclosed spaces. Every 30 feet or so, square alcoves opened up on either side of the main hall. Every niche had a massive freestanding stone sarcophagus. After passing the fourth such coffin, I stopped. "Those things are way too big for humans. What's in there?" "Bull," Sentinel said. "Excuse me?" Sentinel's laugh echoed through the hall. I figured that if there were any sleeping monsters in this place, they were awake now. "These are the burial chambers for the Apis bull." Sitnik gestured around him proudly. "I built all this, back when I was Prince Kamaset." Leah ran her hand across the white stone lid of the sarcophagus. "The Apis bull! I just thought this was an incarnation of Osiris in the mortal world." "But," Satan snorted, "it was his incarnation doll. At least some of the time. Like on festival days and whatnot. We took our Apis bull very seriously back then." He patted the coffin like he was showing off a used car. "This bad boy here, he had the perfect life. All the food he could eat, got a harem of cows, burnt offerings, a special gold cloth for his back, all the perks. Only had to show himself in public a few times a year for big festivals. When he turned 25, he got slaughtered in a big ceremony, mummified like a king and put down here. Then a new bull took his place. Nice gig, huh?" "Killed at 25, I said. "Sounds awesome." I wondered how many mummified bulls. Yeah. Killed at 25. I wonder how many mummified bulls that went down that hallway. I didn't want to find out. But I'd been right here. Where I could still see the exit on the sunlight outside. "So what is this place called, what was it?" Serapeum, she answered. Her face was illuminated with golden light, hardly just the electric bulbs reflecting off the stone, but it seemed like she was glowing. It's Kanda, my old teacher. He told me about this place. That the school was a vessel for Osiris. In later times, the names were merged. Osiris Sapis. Then the Greeks were moved to Serapis. Sickness sneered. Stupid Greeks. Moving in our territory, taking over our gods. I'm telling you, I got no love for those guys. But yeah, that's how it happened. The place became known as Seraphium, a house for dead bull gods. Me, I wanted to call it the Kaimaset Memorial of Pure Awesomeness, but my dad wouldn't go for it. Your dad? I asked, sitting away beside the question. Anyway, I hid the book of Toth down here before I died because I knew no one would ever disturb it. He'd have to be frothing at the mouth crazy to mess with the sacred tomb of the Acus Bull. Great, I felt like I was turning back into liquid. Thea frowned at the ghost. Don't tell me. You hid the book in one of the sarcophagi with the mummified bull, and the bull will come back to life if we disturb it? There'd be better. Oh, I did better than that, Paul. Archaeologists have discovered this part of the complex. He gestured at the electric lights, support beams. But I'm gonna take you on a behind-the-scenes tour. The catacombs seem to go on forever. Oh, wait a minute. The catacombs seem to go on forever, always split off in different directions. All of them lined with sarcophagi for state holy cows. After descending a long slope, you ducked through a secret passage behind an illusionary wall. On the other side, there were no electric lights, no steel beams graced the cracked ceiling. Leah summoned fire at the tip of her staff and burned away a canopy of cobwebs. Her footprints were the only marks on the dusty floor. Are we close? I asked. Sitting in circles. It's just getting good. He led us farther into the maze. Every so often he stopped to deactivate traps with a command or a touch. Sometimes he made me do it. Supposedly because he couldn't cast certain spells being dead. So I got a funny feeling he thought it would be incredibly funny if I failed and died. How come you can touch some things but not the other things? I asked. You seem to have a real selective ability. Sickness shrugged. I don't make the rules of the spirit world, pal. We can touch money and jewelry, picking up trash and messing with poison spikes. No. We get to leave that dirty work to the living. Whenever the traps were disabled, hidden hieroglyphs glowed and vanished. Sometimes we had to jump over pits that opened in the floor or swerve when arrows shot from the ceiling. Paintings of gods and pharaohs peeled off of the walls, swarmed with ghostly guardians and saviors. The old times Nick kept a running commentary. That curse would have made your feet rot off, he explained. This one over here, that stone's a plague of fleas. And this one, oh man, this is one of my favorites. It turns you into a dwarf. I hate those little short guys. I frowned. Sitting was shorter than me, but I said, let it go. Yes, indeed, he continued. You're lucky to have me along, Val. Right now you'd be asleep in a dwarf with no feet, and you haven't seen the worst of it. Right this way. I wasn't sure how Setnick remembered so many details about this place from so long ago. He was obviously proud of these catacombs. He must have relished designing horrible traps to kill intruders. We turned down another corridor. The floor sloped again. The ceiling got so low I had to stoop. I tried to stay calm, but I was having trouble breathing. All I could think about were those tons of stones over my head, ready to collapse at any moment. Zia took my hand. The tunnel was so narrow we were walking in single file. I glanced back at her. "You okay?" I asked. She mouthed the words. "Watch him." I nodded. Whatever traps the Happy had warned us about, I had a feeling we hadn't seen it yet. Even though we were surrounded by traps, we were alone with a murderous ghost, deep underground in his home territory. I didn't have my compass anymore. For some reason I didn't think that I hadn't been able to fund it the rock. And I couldn't use my warrior after I such a tiny tunnel. So it would turn on us, my options would be limited. Finally, the corridor widened, and we reached a dead end. A solid wall flanked by two statues of my dad. Osiris. Sydney turned. "Okay, here's the score, you guys. I'm gonna have to cast a disenchantment to open this wall. The spell only takes on a few minutes. I don't want you freaking out halfway through and wrapping me in pink ribbons, or things will get ugly. Half-finished magic right here, and this whole tunnel could collapse on top of us." I managed to avoid screaming like a little girl, but only barely. Zia cranked the fire on her staff to wind out. "Careful, Sydney. I don't know what the proper disenchantment sounds like. If I suspect you're casting anything else, I'll blast you into ectoplasmic dust." "Relax, doll." Sydney cracked his knuckles. His diamond pinky rings flashed in the firelight. "You gotta keep that scarab under control, or you're going to turn yourself into ashes." I frowned. "Scarab?" Sydney glanced back and forth and began to laugh. "You mean she hasn't told you? And you haven't figured it out? You kids today. I love the ignorance." He turned toward the wall and began to chant. Thea's fire ebbed to a cool red flame. It gave her a questioning look. She hesitated, then touched the base of her throat. She hadn't been wearing a necklace before. I was sure of that. But when she touched her throat, an ambient blinked into existence. A glowing golden scarab on a gold chain. She must have hidden it with that glamour, magical illusion like Cynthia had done with the red rings of Hathor. The scarab looked metal, but I realized I'd seen it before, and I'd seen it alive. Back when Ra had imprisoned Apophis in the underworld, he'd given up a part of his soul, his incantation of Kepri. Scarab of the morning sun to keep his enemy confined. He buried Apophis under a landfill of living beetles. By the time Satan and I had found that person last spring, millions of scarabs had been reduced to desiccated shells. When Apophis broke free, only one golden beetle survived. The last remnant of Kepri's power. Brian tried to swallow that scarab. Yeah, it's disgusting, I know. When that didn't work, he offered it to Zia. I didn't remember Zia taking the scarab, but I knew that Emily was the same bug. Zia shook her head at me later. She gestured at Setnick. He was in the middle of his spell. Okay, probably not a good time to talk. I didn't want the tunnel coming down on us, but my mind was reeling. "You haven't figured it out," Setnick had taunted me. I knew Rob was fascinated with Zia. She was his favorite babysitter. Sidney mentioned that Thea was having temperature control problems. The old man's getting to you, he said. And McGraw has given Thea that stare of literally a piece of his soul. And if she were his high priestess, or maybe someone even more important. The tunnel tumbled. The dead-end wall dissolved into dust, leaving a chamber beyond. So we glanced back at us with a smile. Showtime, kids! He followed them into a circular room that reminded me of the library's Brooklyn house. The floor was a sparkling mosaic of pastures and rivers. On the walls, painted priests were adorned painted cows with flowers and feathery headdresses, some kind of festival, while ancient Egyptians waved palm fronds and shook bronze noisemakers called sistrums. The stone city depicted Osiris on his throne, passing judgment over a bowl. For an absurd moment, I wondered if Ammon devoured the hearts of wicked cows, and if he tasted like the beefy taste. In the middle of the chamber, on the coffin-shaped pedestal, stood a life-size statue of the Apis bull. It was made of dark stone, basalt maybe, but painted so skillfully it looked alive. Its eyes seemed to follow me. Its hide glistened black except for a white diamond, small white diamond on the front of its chest. Over its back was a gold blanket cut and embroidered to resemble hawk's wings. Between its horns sat a frisbee of gold, a sun-disk crown. Beneath that, sticking out of the bull's forehead like a curly unicorn horn, was a leering cobra. A year ago, I would have said freaky, but at least it's just a statue. Now I think I have lots of experience with Egyptian statues coming to life and trying to stomp the unk out of me. Certainly didn't seem worried. Strolled right up to the stone wall and patted its leg. The shrine has a peace. I built this chamber just for my chosen priest and me. Now all we have to do is wait. Wait for what? She asked. Being a smart girl, she was hanging back by the entrance with me. Sidney chuckled at his non-existent watch. It won't be long. Just a timer, sort of. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable. I edged my way inside. I waited for the doorway to solidify behind me, but it stayed open. Sure the book is in there? It's still in here? Oh yeah. Sidney walked around the statue, checking the base. I just need to remember which of these panels on the dice is gonna pop up. Open. I wanted to make this entire room out of gold, you know. That would have been much cooler, but Dad cut back on my funding. Your dad? Thea stepped next to me and slipped her hand into mine, which I didn't mind. The gold scarab necklace clinted around her neck. You mean Mad Ramesses the Great? Sidney's mouth twisted in the curls, schools. Yeah, that's how his PR department branded him. We like to call him Ramesses 2, or Ramesses number 2. Ramses, I said, your dad is the Ramses? I suppose I hadn't processed how Sidney fit into ancient Egyptian history. Looking at the scrawny little guy with his greasy hair, his shoulder-padded jacket, and his ridiculous bling, I couldn't believe he was related to a ruler so famous. Even worse, it made him related to me, as our mom's side of the family traces magical heritage back from Ramesses the Great. Sadie says she can see the family's resemblance between Sidney and me. Shut up, Shady. Yes, Sidney didn't look like my like my looking surprised. Stuck his beaky nose in the air. You should know what it's like, Carter Kane, growing up in the shadow of a famous dad. Always trying to live up to his legend. Look at you, son of the great Dr. Julius Kane. You finally make a name for yourself as a big shot magician. What did your dad do? He goes and becomes a god. Sidney laughs coldly. I never felt any resentment towards my father before. I always thought it was cool being Dr. Kane's son. Sidney's words rolled over me and anger started to burn in my chest. He's playing with you, said the voice of Horace. I knew Horace was right, but that didn't make me feel better. Where's the book, Sidney? I asked. Enough delays. Don't warp your wand, pal. It won't be much longer. He gazed at the picture of Osiris on the ceiling. There he is, the blue dude himself. I'm telling you, Carter, you and I are a lot alike. I can't go anywhere in Egypt without seeing my dad's face either. Abu Simbel, that's Papa Ramesses, glaring down at me, 4 copies of them, each 60 feet tall. It's like a nightmare. He had the temples in Egypt who commissioned them and put up statues of himself. Isn't any wonder I wanted to be the world's biggest magician? He puffed up his scrawny chest. And I made it too. What I don't understand, Carter Kane, is why you haven't taken this Pharaoh's throne yet. You got Horus on your side, itching for power. You should merge with the god, become the Pharaoh of the world, and He patted the Apis statue. Take the bulls by the horns. He's right. Horus said, this human has wisdom. Make up your mind, I complained. Carter, don't listen to him. Jesus said, sit there, whatever you're up to, stop, now. What I'm up to, look, doll, don't call me that. Jesus said, hey, I'm on your side. Looks right here in the dice. As soon as the bull moves. The bull moves? I asked, sitting in there with his eyes. Didn't I mention that? I got the idea from this holiday we used to have in the old days. Festival of Sales. Awesome fun. You ever been to that running of the bulls in, what is it, Spain? Pamplona, I said. Another wave was that and got the best of me. My dad had taken me to Pamplona once. But he hadn't let me go out in the streets while the bulls were running through town. He said it was too dangerous, as if his secret life as a magician were way more dangerous than that. Right, Pamplona, Sidney agreed. Well, you know where that tradition started? Egypt. Pharaoh would do this ritual race with the Apis bull to renew his kingly power, prove his strength, and get blessed by all the gods. All that junk. Later times it became just a charade, no real danger. But at the beginning it was the real thing. Life and death. And the word death, gold statue moved. He bent his legs stiffly. Then he lowered his head and glared at me, snorting a cloud of dust. Sidney! I reached for my sword, but of course it wasn't there. He didn't stop. I'll wrap you in ribbons so fast. Oh, I wouldn't do that, Sidney won't. See, I'm the only one who can pick up the book without getting zapped by about 16 different curses. Between the bull's horns, its full sun dust flashed on its forehead. The cobra writhed to life, hissing and spitting gobs of fire. Dia drew her wand. Was it my imagination or was her scarab necklace starting to sting? Call off that creature, Sidney, or I swear! I can't, doll, sorry. He grinned at us from behind the bull's thighs. He didn't look very sorry. This is part of the security system, see? If you want the bug, you gotta distract the ball and get it out of here. While I opened the dice and grabbed a bunch of toast, I could have complete faith in you. The bull pawed his pedestal and nut pop. He had pulled me back into the hallway. Yeah, see it, shouted, just like the Sand Festival. Prove you're worthy of the Pharaoh's throne, kid. Run or die! The bull charged. A sword would have been really nice. I would have stolen for a matador's cape and a spear, or an assault rifle. Instead, Dia and I ran back through the catacombs. We didn't realize that we were lost. Letting Satan lead us into the maze had been a stupid idea. I should have dropped some breadcrumbs or marked the walls with hieroglyphs or something. Hoped the tunnels would be too narrow for the abyss bowl. No such luck. I heard rock walls rumbling behind us as the bull shouldered his way through. There was no sound that I liked even less. A deep hum followed by an explosion. I didn't know what that was, and it was a good incentive to run faster. Must have passed through a dozen halls, each had 20 or 30 sarcophagi. I couldn't remember how many apices had been mummified down here, centuries worth of bull. Behind us, a monster stone friend bellowed as he smashed his way through the tunnels. I glanced back once and I was sorry I did. The bull was closing fast, his curl around his forehead spewing fire. This way! Dia cried. She pulled me down a side corridor. At the far end, what looked like daylight spilled from an open door. I sprinted toward it. I was hoping for an exit. Instead, we stumbled into another circular chamber. There was no bull statue in the middle, but spaced around the circumference were 4 giant stone sarcophagi. The walls were painted with pictures of bovine paradise. Cows being fed, cows frolicking in meadows, cows being worshipped by silly little humans. The daylight streamed from the shaft in the dome ceiling. 20 feet above, a beam of sunlight sliced through the dusty air and hit the middle of the floor like a spotlight. And there was no way we could use the shaft to escape. Even if I turned into a falcon, the opening would be too narrow. I wasn't about to leave Zia alone. Dead end, she said. The abyss hole loomed in the doorway, blocking our exit. They slid over me, Cobra. Yes. We backed into the room until we stood in the warm sunlight. It seemed cruel to die here, struck under thousands of tons of rock by being able to see the sun. The bull pawed the floor. He took a step forward, then hesitated, as if the sunlight bothered him. Maybe I can talk to him, I said. He's connected to Osiris, right? Thea looked at me like I was crazy, which I was, but I didn't have any better ideas. She raised one of the staff. I'll cover you. I stepped toward the monster, showing my empty hands. Nice bull. I'm Carter Kane. Osiris is my dad, sort of. How about we call it Tuesday? And the color speed fire in my face. Would have turned me into an extra crispy Carter, but Thea shouted a command. As I stumbled backward, her staff absorbed the blast, sucking in the flames like a vacuum cleaner. She sliced the air with her wand, and the shimmering red ball of fire wrapped around the abyss bull. Unfortunately, the bull just stood there and glared at us, completely unharmed. Thea cursed. We seemed to be having an impasse with the fire magic. The bull lowered its horns. My war god instincts took over. Take cover! Theus drove one way, I drove the other. The bull's sun dust glowed and hung, then shot a golden beam of heat right where we'd been standing. Barely made it behind the sarcophagus. The clothes were steamy. The bombs on my shoes were melted. When the beam had hit, the floor was blackened and bubbling, as if the rock had reached the boiling point. Cows with laser beams, I protested. That's completely unfair. Carter? Thea called from across the room. You okay? We'll have to split up. I shouted back. I'm distracted. You get out of here. What? No! Bull turned toward the sound of her voice. I had to move faster. Fast. My avatar wouldn't be much in an enclosed area like this, but I needed the war god's strength and speed. I summoned the power of Horus. Blue light flickered around me. My skin felt as thick steel, my muscles as powerful as hydraulic pistons. I rose to my feet and smashed my fist into the sarcophagus and reduced it to a pile of stone and mummy dust. I picked up a chunk of the lid, a 300-pound stone shield, and charged at the bull. We smashed into each other. Somehow I held my ground, but I took every bit of my magical strength. The bull bellowed and pushed. The cobra spit flames that rolled over the top of my shield. Thea, get out of here! I shouted. I'm not leaving you! You've got to! I can't! The hair on my arm stood up even before I heard the humming sound. The slabs of stone disintegrated in a flash of gold, and I flew backwards, crashing into the other sarcophagus. My vision blurred. I heard Zia shout. When my eyes could focus again, I saw her standing in the middle of the room, wrapped in sunlight, chanting a spell I didn't recognize. She'd gotten the bull's attention, which had probably saved my life. Before I could cry out, the bull aimed their stun and shot a super-heated laser beam straight at Thea. No! I screamed. The light blinded me. The heat sucked all the oxygen out of my lungs. There was no way Thea could have survived that hit. But when the golden light faded, Thea was still there. Around her was a massive shield shaped like a scarab shell. Her eyes glowed with orange flames. Flames swirled around her. She looked at the bull and spoke in a deep, rasping voice that definitely wasn't hers. I am Kepri, the rising sun. I will not be denied. Only later I realized that she'd spoken in ancient Egyptian. She thrust out her hand. A miniature comet shot toward the Apis bull, and the monster burst into flames. Turning and stomping, suddenly panicked. His legs crumbled. He collapsed and broke into a smelling pile of charred rubble. The room was suddenly quiet. I was afraid to move. Thea was still wreathed in flame, and it seemed to be getting hotter, burning yellow then white. She stayed as if in a trance. The golden scarab around her neck was definitely smoking now. Thea! I dead throbbed, but I managed to rise. She turned toward me and hefted another fireball. Thea, no! I said, it's me, Carter! She hesitated. Carter? Her expression turned to confusion and fear. The orange flames faded in her eyes, and she collapsed in the pool of sunlight. I ran to her. I tried to gather her in my arms, but her skin was way too hot to touch. The golden scarab had actually burned up on her throat. Water, I muttered to myself. I need water. I've never been good at divine words, but I shouted, Bow! A symbol blazed above us. And this is the symbol. Several cubic gallons of water materialized in midair and crashed down on us. Thea's face steamed, she coughed and spluttered. but she didn't wake. The fever was still dangerously high. I'll get you out of here, I promised, lifting her in my arms. I didn't need the strength of horse. I had so much adrenaline coursing through my body, I didn't feel any of my own injuries. I ran right by Sydney when he passed me in the hall. Hey, pal! He turned and jogged along next to me, carrying a thick papyrus scroll. Good job, I got the book of spells. You almost killed Thea, I snapped. Get out of here, now! Okay, Sydney said. Calm down. I'm taking you back to my dad's courtroom, I glowered. I'm going to personally stuff you down on Ammit's throat like a branch into a wood chipper. Whoa, big man. Senna led me up a sloping passage back to the electrical lighting of the excavated tunnels. How about we get you out of here first, huh? Remember, you still need me to decipher this book and find the serpent's shadow. Then we'll see about the wood chipper, okay? She can't die, I insisted. Right, I got there. Sitting and led me through more tunnels, picking up speed. Sia seemed to weigh nothing. My headaches had disappeared. Finally, we burst into the sunlight and ran for the Egyptian queen. I'll admit, I wasn't thinking straight. When we got back on board, Blessing Blade reported on the ship's repairs, but I barely heard him. He saw right past him and carried Thea into the nearest cabin, sat her on the bed and rummaged through my pack for medical supplies, a water bottle, some magic salve Jazz had given me, a few written charms, as I was no wreckhead like Jazz. Pain pills consisted mostly of bandages and aspirin, but I began to work. Come on, my mama. Come on, Zia. You're going to be fine. She was so warm. Her drenched clothes were almost dried. Her eyes were rolled back in her head. She started muttering. I could have sworn she said, dung balls. Time to roll the dung balls. Might have been funny except for the fact that she was dying. That's Capri talking, Sydney explained. She's the divine dung beetle, rolling the sun across the sky. I didn't want to process that. I really did that the girl I liked had been possessed by a dung beetle and was now having the dreams about pushing the giant sphere of flaming poo across the sky. There was no question. She had used the path of the gods. She called on Ra, or at least one of his incarnations, Kepri. Ra had chosen more, the way Horus had chosen me. Suddenly it made sense that Apopus had destroyed Zia's village when she was young, and that the old chief lector had scammed her, had gone to such lengths to train her and then hide her in a magical sleep. If she held the secret to reawakening the sun god, I dabbed some ointment on her throat, pressed the cold of the washcloth up to her forehead, but it didn't seem to help. I turned to her suddenly. Heal her! Oh, he winced. See, healing magic isn't my thing. At least he got the book of Told. If she dies, it wasn't for nothing. If she dies, I warned, I will. I couldn't think of a torture painful enough. I see you need some time, Sidney said. No problem. How about I go tell your captain where we're heading? We should get back into the Duat, back to the River of Night as soon as possible. We have permission to give him orders? Fine, I snapped. Just get out of my sight. I didn't know how much time passed. Zia's fever seemed to subside. She started breathing more easily and slipped into a gentler sleep. I kissed her forehead and stayed by her side, holding her hand. I was dimly aware of the ships moving. We dropped into a momentary free fall, then hit water with a shudder and a loud splash. I felt river rolling under the hull once again, and from the tingling in my gut, I guess we were back in the Duwa. The door creaked open from behind me, but I kept my eyes on Zia. I waited for Sydney to say something, probably to brag about how he'd done navigating us back to the river at night, but he stayed silent. Well? I asked. Sound of splintering wood made me jump. Sydney wasn't at the door. Instead, Glinting playing wind over me. His accent must have just split the door frame his lips. He spoke in an angry, cold tone. Lord Kane, it's time to die! With that, we end this chapter.